You ever have one of those mornings where you're thinking, there's no way today could get any weirder, and then you look out your window, see a convoy of armored SUVs, and realize you might be the only person in history whose marina is about to become the epicenter of a federal takedown? Yeah, that happened. There were 23 super yachts worth $175 million tied up at my docks when Lysandra Blackthorne waltzed in with a small army of private security, acting like my entire 650-slip marina was just an accessory for her HOA's next power trip. She had no clue that in 4 hours, those black SUVs would roll up, not to back her up, but to slap cuffs on her for crimes she was about to confess to in front of hundreds of stunned witnesses. But let me back up a sec. Just 96 hours earlier, I was in a federal courthouse in Detroit, signing my name on paperwork that would flip my whole life upside down. I'm Garrison Wolf, 38 years old. Not so long ago, I was the chief accounting officer at Neptune Shipping International, living that corporate high-rise life, until I stumbled onto a $3.2 billion laundry cycle involving phantom cargo and my own CEO. Turns out, having a conscience is expensive. The Whistleblower Protection Act basically handed me a new identity and a new gig, running one of Neptune's confiscated assets. And not just any asset, Sterling Bay Marina, Neptune's old crown jewel, which they'd stolen out from under a man named William Sterling using every dirty trick in the book. William died 2 months after he lost the marina. His widow told me he just couldn't take the heartbreak. The morning I showed up at Sterling Bay, Lake Michigan looked like a sheet of glass. Sharp sky, cold air, a sense of history under my boots as I walked through the old 1895 main office. The floors creaked with every step. In the basement, I found a door labeled Historical Archives and rows of filing cabinets no one had opened in decades, everything preserved like some time capsule. First 3 days, everything felt almost peaceful. I met the boat owners, learned the rhythm of the place. Commercial boats grinding out before sunrise, pleasure craft rolling in after lunch, the marina humming with life but quiet in the evenings. My apartment above the office had a view of the whole harbor. Coffee on the balcony at sunrise. It almost felt like I'd finally outrun the chaos. Then day 4, 9:15 a.m., a purple Rolls-Royce Dawn glides into my lot, engine purring like a jungle cat. Out steps Lysandra Blackthorne, dripping with pearls and attitude, flanked by men in navy blazers embroidered with Lakeshore Estates HOA. More muscle than a pro football team. Private security. These folks didn't come to chit-chat. Mr. Wolf, she calls out, all regal. I'm Lysandra Blackthorne, president of Lakeshore Estates Homeowners Association. We need to discuss your situation immediately. I just sipped my coffee. Mrs. Blackthorne, I wasn't aware Sterling Bay fell under any HOA jurisdiction. This is private commercial property. She laughed. High, cold, almost musical. That's where you're remarkably mistaken. According to her, the entire waterfront had been under HOA rule since 1923. She made it sound like I was just a squatter. She marched into my office, her army following, her security staking out the exits. The whole thing was a power play. Official papers everywhere, her crew photographing every drawer, measuring windows. You have 72 hours to sign over operational control of this marina, she said, or things will get unpleasant. She name-dropped her husband on the city council, her brother-in-law at the biggest law firm in the state, her cousin the sheriff. Welcome to Lakeshore Estates, she said. You'll learn to love it here, or you'll learn to leave. But she slipped. She mentioned the other marinas she'd acquired: Sunset Harbor, Crystal Bay, Eagle Point, North Shore. I spent that afternoon on the phone with my attorney from the whistleblower case, Patricia Stone, who knew every RICO trick in the book. Garrison, she said, that's organized crime with an HOA badge. Send me everything you've got. What I found was a horror show. Owners driven to bankruptcy, heart attacks, even disappearance. All the marinas she'd taken were originally part of the Sterling estate. Every one acquired with the same pattern: legal harassment, spiraling costs, forced sales to a shell company. I was still digging when Judge Morrison showed up at sunset, a retired judge, fishing vest, tackle box full of legal history. He pulled out a 40-year-old court order barring the Blackthorns from interfering with Sterling Properties forever, plus the original 1895 shipping rights for this chunk of Lake Michigan, still valid, worth $500 million today. The more I learned, the more I realized this wasn't just about property. This was a century-old grudge. That night, in the archives, I found a hidden room, maps on the walls, old ledgers, the original deed, and a contract from 1923. Not a covenant giving HOA control, but a cease and desist against them. And then, boom, the next morning, my door is papered with 17 bogus HOA violations, flags, horn noise, unauthorized commercial activity. The 18th was the kicker. Failure to maintain historical standards, restoration cost, $12 million, or daily $5,000 fines. You know what I mean? Pure harassment. That's when Victor Petro arrived. Used to own Crystal Bay, drove 2 hours to warn me. She's not after your marina, he said. She's after what's under it. My grandfather built tunnels here in the 50s, connected to something called the Brandy Vault. Supposed to be $500 million in pre-prohibition booze hidden beneath. Now it made sense. She'd been hunting for this treasure for decades, probably already torn up the other marinas and found nothing. Sterling Bay was her last shot. That afternoon, the FBI called Agent Patricia Coleman, White Collar Crime Division. We think Blackthorn Maritime Trust is a front for racketeering. We've been building a case for 3 years. Can you help? I told her about the Brandy Vault. She nodded. That explains the ground-penetrating radar. We've got her. Document everything. And whatever you do, don't sign a thing. The next 2 days were a hurricane. My water system got sabotaged, my booking database hacked, and then 7 law firms dumped $80 million in legal claims on me. Environmental, fraud, emotional distress against the HOA board. That one still cracks me up. Patricia just grinned. By filing federal, they've triggered DOJ review. Every suit has false statements. That's perjury. Lysandra had just walked into her own trap. Day 3, the yacht owners in Section C, 23 of the richest people on the lake, called an emergency meeting. We're forming the Sterling Defense Fund, said Harrison Ashford, his yacht longer than most city blocks. $20 million in legal firepower. We're not letting an HOA mob take over our legacy. By sundown, I had senators, the state attorney general, everyone calling about Sterling Bay. But here's the real twist. I spotted a strange watermark on the HOA's official paperwork. I recognized it. From my Neptune days, it's federal supply, only for government agencies. A quick call confirmed. Lysandra had forged documents using stolen federal paper. That's another felony. Agent Coleman's team documented everything. Fake docs, security thugs, hacking, the whole 9 yards. And then, just as the deadline hit, a drilling rig appeared at 4:43 a.m. on my property. Blackthorn Maritime Trust trucks, fake company, drilling for the vault, caught on high-def video, with Lysandra barking orders by phone. Drill here. The old maps say there's a cavity 40 feet down. That's our entrance. Coleman's team and the yacht owner's security swooped in. Helicopters, SUVs, full federal blitz. Lysandra raced in herself, face twisted, security in tow, but 50 federal agents is a little more than HOA muscle can handle. This is my property, she screamed. We have rights going back 200 years. Coleman moved in for the arrest, reading off 47 federal charges. Lysandra froze, but managed to blurt, "You don't understand what's down there. The Sterling family stole everything. My great-great-grandfather's fortune is in that vault." There it was, confession, motive, all on tape. You could almost feel the air leave the crowd. Turns out, the drilling hit not a vault, but a massive steel door, 3 feet thick, built before Prohibition, sealing a climate-controlled chamber filled not with booze, but documents, gold certificates, Civil War Treasury notes, deeds, enough history to rewrite the story of Great Lakes commerce. The final box? Blackthorn documents, not stolen but forfeited in 1897 after Magnus Blackthorn was caught running guns for the Confederacy and cut a deal to avoid execution. The Blackthorn fortune wasn't stolen. It was seized for treason. The dominoes fell fast. FBI raids all over. Her husband at the bank, brother-in-law the lawyer, even the sheriff, all busted for fraud, bribery, or running cover for the scheme. The marina owners got restitution. The Sterling Vault became a museum. The Michigan legislature passed the Sterling Protection Act. Then Congress followed with national HOA reform. The 4 families she'd destroyed rebuilt. The Defense Fund made the marina better than ever. Research station, sailing academy, slip upgrades, the works. The trial was brutal. Victims testified about ruined lives. Lysandra tried to claim she was just fighting for her family's legacy, but the documents in the vault nuked that defense. Jury found her guilty on all 47 counts. 25 years, no parole for 15, $340 million restitution, all assets seized. Even her daughter, Melissa, changed her name and denounced her mother in court. You'd think that was the end, right? But 3 years later, my old maintenance chief found a rusted box under slip C7, a journal from Adelaide Sterling, William's aunt, missing since 42. Her final entry: the vault beneath the Marina is a decoy. The real Sterling legacy is split among 7 Marinas, each hiding a piece of something called the Covenant. We didn't steal the Blackthorn fortune, we stole their future. Below, a hand-drawn map, with 3 locations still unfound. Last week, Melissa Walsh, formerly Blackthorn, called me. She'd found letters hinting at the rest of the secret, and we're digging. Meanwhile, someone broke into the Vault Museum, left a single photograph. Adelaide and Magnus Blackthorn's daughter together, both wearing Office of Strategic Services badges. So what do you think? Is the real Blackthorn fortune out there? Some legacy bigger than gold? What was the Covenant? Why did the government really care? Drop your wildest theory in the comments. If you're dealing with HOA hell, or you believe property rights still mean something, share this story. Justice doesn't happen by accident. It takes people willing to stand up and push back, no matter how long it takes or how much it costs. Subscribe for more real stories of ordinary folks staring down bullies and winning. Sterling Bay Marina is proof that inherited integrity beats inherited entitlement every damn time. And somewhere, in a federal prison cell, Lysandra's still got 15 years to wonder what it feels like to actually win.